lit your fuse as a young person and made you have to tell stories on screen?
Well, there's many, many, many movies, and it's very difficult to choose one or two. And a lot of movies push me into that direction. And in a very strange way, by the way, because my parents would not work in that industry. So I don't know in US, but in France, when you're not from this group of people, you think it's not for you. But some movies, pushed me, and once again for different reasons. One I remember very well. I was maybe 12 or 13 or something like that, and I saw The Third Man, the Carol Reed movie with Orson Welles and Joseph Cotton. And for the first time, I realized that someone was telling the story with images. So far, I would watch movies, follow the story, watching actors, but I had not realized that someone was behind the camera and was making choices. And after I saw that movie, I remember that I realized that this place, very special place, was existing, that I never had this idea before. And I wanted to be this guy. And because it looked like being God for me. It was like, okay, this is the one, the real boss is the one who created that images. And before that, I think I loved cinema and movies in general, and for very naive reasons. And because it just looked fun, and it looked like a nice place to live, making movies. And for that, I would choose some comedies, and especially the movies with Jean-Paul Belmondo, because Jean-Paul Belmondo is such a shining actor. When you're a young boy and you look at these movies, even the not especially good ones, it looks so good to live that life. It looks so fun, and there's so much joy in the movies that it's a place you want to be. It's a place you want to live in. And now I'm a huge fan of Adam Sandler, and it makes me the same. I mean, living in an Adam Sandler movie looks really cool. It's a nice place to be. So I think these movies really push people to want to love movies and to make movies. I discovered him with Happy Gilmore and Wedding Singer, and I love 50 First Dates, and I love Big Daddy. I love the goofy comedies, I have to say. I'm really his biggest fan here in France. A lot of my friends, we had these arguments because they were the Ben Stiller guys, and I'm the Adam Sandler guy. And I love Ben Stiller. I have no problem with Ben Stiller, but I love, of course, Punch Drunk Love is a very good movie. I mean, it's very good, and I also love the Savvy Brother Uncut Gems, and all the Meyerowitz stories. I mean, he's a very good actor, and he's able to make a lot of things. But I really respect the fact that he's been very faithful to the Adam Sandler that people loved, and with goofy comedies and not important movies, just fun movies.
Wow. And so now, on your way up, when you were figuring it out as a filmmaker, what movie or series did you watch and it was so good it made you think, oh, what am I doing? How can I ever rise to that level?
Well, that kind of movies, they have two sides. The one side is an emulation, because you learn from them and they give you ambition. And another one is like crushing you, and you feel like you're so small. I mean, it's very difficult. Nobody can compare to Hitchcock or Wells or Ford. So you have to push this side on the side, and just to keep the best of it. And there's a lot of classical movies. The classical movies were, for me, the alphabet. This is where what I'm really interested in making movies is the language of cinema. This is my thing, to explore different spots of the language of cinema. And for that, I have to say that the silent movies really give me such an inspiration to tell stories with images. And I always considered that my job was to tell the story with images and to let the dialogues for something different. Dialogues have to be dialogues, not to tell the story. And also for the actors, I don't ask actors to tell the stories. This is my job in a way, and they are here to inhabit the characters. So for this silent movie, I can say, of course, Sunrise, no, or City Girl, no. But the King Vidor, The Crowd, the Hitchcock silent movies are really good. The Fritz Lang Metropolis or Spies, or there's so many, and also City of Lights. The Chaplin movies are so perfectly narrated. How the story is conducted, it's kind of a perfection. So it's very emulating. And after that, there's so many. It's very difficult to choose or to pick up one or two movies. The Hitchcock movies, the VistaVision period from the late 50s. Are really like perfect movies. North by Northwest is a perfect movie, and you can watch it and watch it and watch it again, and you will learn something. And it's the perfect illustration how we use dialogues to create like it's like a second plot. It's like full of understatement and because he's in charge of the story, because it comes from silent movies.
Well, now, so maybe it was the success of something you did or approval from someone whose opinion really mattered to you. What first gave you the confidence that, in fact, you did belong doing this as a storyteller?
Well, it's a very, very long process. I had that luck, or I've been very lucky to I made two movies here in France, the OSS 117 movies, and they were big successes in terms of critics and in terms of they were popular movies, and so that helps you. But I really felt that something was. After these two movies, I did The Artist, and it was like. Too many success and too much success and too many awards and everything. But it was a little bit ridiculous. But in the same time, it gives you confidence, and it gives you confidence also because it changed something in the eyes of other people. I can see since. My relation with the producers, with the financiers, and everything. Really, it's not that it changed, but I think it's. I think I can consider myself as a director now, which was not that obvious before The Artist, even with successes and even with popular movies, because it's a very fragile situation. If your movies don't work, you can't work anymore. And if you don't work, you're not a director anymore. So you need to be lucky. And I've been lucky.
You know, I'm thinking back on it and the terrific movie, The Artist, but the idea of you making a black and white film with like one line of dialogue and cascading to the Best Picture win. It's like it would be like somebody getting in the ring against Muhammad Ali with one hand tied behind their back and wearing a blindfold. I mean, how surprised were you that this that this exceptional movie, even though it had a great story to tell, overcame what people perhaps were used to having when they go to see movies, and accomplish so much. How surprising was that to you?
Well, it is surprising, but when you live the entire story, there's a chronology, and things are coming and happening one after the other, and you can be like surprised for 6 months or 8 months, like in that state of mind. So every day you open your eyes or you wake up and you say, this is insane. What's happening is insane. As a French director, I have nothing to do here in Hollywood with all this huge, I remember some ceremonies, and I was receiving awards, and I was in the same category than Spielberg and Clint Eastwood and Scorsese. So it was really ridiculous. When they would call Best Director with my name, I wanted to say, it's not true. Really, it's not true. Thank you very much. You love the movie, but it's not Best Director. It's just the movie you want to cherish today, and it's beautiful, and I take it. I mean, it's not like fake modesty or whatever, but it's just not true. It's like this, and so it's a big surprise, but on a very long time. So it's a very strange thing, and also, I mean, it was so cool, so nice. All these people telling that they love your movie, and it was a nice movie. I mean, a pleasant movie to watch, and so it was a nice and a sweet story, surprising, and very nice.
Well, now we just talked about overcoming obstacles, but for you personally, what was the biggest obstacle that you had to overcome to allow you to turn projects that influenced you into your own language as a filmmaker?
As I say at the very beginning, when you don't belong to that world, when your parents are not coming from that world, it seems so you're the outsider. And you're not even the outsider because you feel like you're not allowed to play the game. The game is not for you. So, and I never try to unlock the door or to force to enter. I just did things, and it happened that it worked. But I've been very lucky, I have to say. But some movies, in a way, helped me to take that freedom and to assume that I was able to do it. And I'm thinking the movies of the French New Wave, À bout de souffle, Breathless, or Les 400 coups, the first Truffaut and Jean-Luc Godard movies, they were so free. I mean, you could really touch the freedom in how they did it. And when you see that kind of movie made with low budget, and also La Haine, the movie that Mathieu Kassovitz, it's a little bit like this. It gives you the something that helps you to say, I can make it. I mean, it's not so big, and it's not such a big mountain. I can make it. If I really want to do it, I can make it. I just have to write a good script, and if the script is good enough, I will find the money. But it's true that you feel like that there's a lot of walls between you and the situation of making a movies. But once you start to walk, you see that the walls are in your head, actually. You just have to do it. And so I would say the main obstacle is yourself, your lack of confidence in yourself.
I see. Well, now, and a last question. So on Final Cut, it's sort of a remake of this movie, One Cut of the Dead, filming of a zombie movie, and suddenly people begin to turn into zombies. It sounds fun and playful. What burned in you to want to tell this story?
Well, It's kind of coincidence, actually. I wanted to make a comedy about a shooting set. And I started to work on it during the lockdown. And I had this phone call from a producer, and he asked me what I was doing, what I was working on, and I told him I'm doing this, and it's a comedy, and he stopped me. I could hear him smiling on the phone, and he said, "Listen, I just bought the rights of the remake of this Japanese movie. It's a student movie. You will see." And I watched it, and I jumped into it because I really could feel, the joy I was talking about, the Belmondo movies and the Adam Sandler movies. I really could feel that energy, that joy of making movies. It was into the crafting, but also into the subject. So I thought it would be a great playground for me. And it was an occasion to play on different level, to work on the characters. There's something we didn't. I didn't speak about a very important part of cinema, which is the Italian movies. The Italian movies from the 50s to the 70s, they really created something very phenomenal, very special. And I love that movies because there's a spirit into it, which is they don't show human beings in their best way. They don't create heroes. They show the weakness of human being and the seek of dignity, how people want to keep their dignity in the middle of a notion of weakness. And in a way, they are the cousins of Billy Wilder or Ernst Lubitsch in the US. It's not a Hollywood heroes. They are not Hollywood heroes. It's the opposite. And I liked in what I loved in the Final Cut, in the Japanese original. People are weak and they are not good, and they are ridiculous and they are stupid. But at the end, being together, they create something that moves you, because you can feel that a group of people is way better than the addition of all these people. It's just not an addition, it's a group. This is very different. And I always consider that making movie was about that, creating a creative crew, and being a group.